Let's take a look at some of the new event processors. Here I've got a simple patch with a pluck sound playing some chords. And I want to add on a texture oscillator to make this a little more interesting. And with this done, let's choose something maybe in the keys category. I'll go with bell hit over here. And again, in keys, give a bit of a pitched attack. Maybe we'll go with English 1. And let's hear this. Now I'm going to just set it to go forward. I just want the attack for this. Put the filter on. Okay, and let's blend it in. Okay, so we have a bit of attack being added to this. So now under the event processor section, under script processors and sequencing, I want to look at the ostinato ARP, which is a kind of polyphonic arpeggiator where you can get 4 different rows all going at once. I'm just going to turn these 3 off, and we can set each arpeggiator one at a time. So it starts with 16th notes. I'm going to slow it down to 8ths. We can set the number of hits and the number of steps. We can offset the start of this Euclidean pattern, and we can have the whole sequence be up to 16 steps long. And this is the amount of chance that this is going to happen. If I lower this, we just get the straight 8th note pattern. So let's leave this up pretty high like this. There's just a couple of spaces. I'm going to leave the panning in the center, but we can change the direction of the panning. We get it on one side like that. I'm going to option click to bring it back, and intensity is kind of a velocity offset. So let's set the second lane to something a little different. Maybe dotted 8ths. And we'll set this to be a bit sparser. And I can offset the pattern. But since we're creating spaces, it's not going to have that much of an effect. And I want this to happen all the time, so I'm going to leave that up. And let's pan this one. Not all the way, but something like that to that side. And here we can add accents. So maybe I want, when this happens, every quarter note for it to be an accent. And then the percent of chance that it'll happen. Now here we can shift the octave, put it up an octave, and again, the chance that it's going to go up that octave. And then the pitch over here. And I can harmonize the note. And do something like that. So we hear these accents popping out. Now let's add a third lane on. We'll leave that at 16ths, but let's make it sparser. We'll offset it. We're getting this evolving type of pattern. We'll set it so it repeats less regularly. We'll pan this in the opposite direction. And the percent of chance that it'll happen. We'll leave the intensity, or we can lower the velocities of these. And here I'll put an accent maybe every half note. And again, I'm going to lower the probability that so it doesn't happen every single time. And let's add this an octave lower. Look at that evolving pattern we've got. And this is our original. So let me turn these off. We can hear one row at a time. That's all that's generating. We'll hear it with the original. Let's hear just the first and third row. So you can get it as busy or relaxed as you want it. Here I've got a single note playing once a bar. And again, under the script processors, in sequencing, we're going to look at a new arpeggiator called the chip arp. And here we can set the speed. I'll start it slow at 16th notes. We can choose to harmonize the notes, for example, transpose them over octaves. And it creates a classic video game kind of chip effect. And we can loop the pattern. We can go faster. And we can gate the notes. Here they're fully ringing. Here they're nice and short. Repeat them. And we have all different kinds of intervals and some really interesting special effects at the end. Like these last ones. Nice patterns. So lots of fun. Here I've got a new empty program, and I'm going to take a drum loop and just drag it in here. And we can trigger it, of course. I'm going to click here to switch this to the slice oscillator, and we're going to look at a new script. Let me lower the sensitivity a bit so we can trigger the slices now as we expect. And so on. Now here, under the event script processors, I'm going to go into sequencing, and we're going to look at slice remixer, which allows us to remap the slices starting at C2, and we can get some really interesting variations. So here's the basic loop. I'm triggering it at C2, but we can remap, and with preview on, we can hear the different slices. Maybe I want to start with that slice. So there's a nice little remapping, very simple, that I've done. We can turn different steps on or off with this to create gaps. And we can offset the velocities, but here it gets interesting. We can add repeats to get buzz type of effects. And of course, the higher we drag it up, the more of a buzz we'll get. And then I can pitch the individual slices if I want. And then pan them. So really a lot of fun, and in each row we can initialize or randomize. Now it's a little bit too many repeats for my taste, but you get the idea. You can have a lot of fun with this. Maybe not those, but lots of fun. So let's slice remixer. We'll continue with more in the next video.